Lakeview Circuit, the latest of the CADEsport mountain bike rides. A little swivel around, look at the West London logo. We're westlondoncycling.com. We run West London VR races online, including on CADEsport, which we like a lot because it has very different courses and very different dynamics to everything else out there. Steering, crashing and braking. You don't get that on your average platform at the moment. So let's see what this has got. Now, we're fairly new to mountain bike riding. This is only the third course we've ridden on our little previews, and we think the off-road sections do have an effect on the resistance on your smart trainer. On this course it's pretty much all off-road, so it's not going to make a lot of difference. On some of the other ones you go off-road and then onto tarmac, and there is a slight difference, we believe. That's what we perceived anyway. We didn't know from the data. Cornering, etc. is still there. Look on the speedometer, we're well shy of the red there. Probably could do this corner a little bit faster without crashing. But on this course it's going to be about steering around the obstacles, which we're going to come across sooner or later. Here's the first one. You won't notice it's an obstacle because I'm in the middle of the course there, but you'll see that the road narrows with those logs and rocks at the side. If you are in either of the outside lanes, as you approach that you will crash into them. We're out of that now. You can see the logs ending that little section. So in a race, if there are riders right across the road, you really don't want to be on the outside because you'll be crashing into one of those, and I suspect some riders might pull out in front of you and cause you to slow down, etc. Ben's still sweeping here. Not a long course, it's fairly short, less than 2 kilometres long, but as I say, it's an off-road race, so the dynamic's slightly different. Now, here's the first of the obstacles, of which I was in the wrong lane. Remember here that there are about 8 lanes across the road, and each time you nudge the steering, you're nudging into another lane effectively. It's not totally random where you're steering. So what you do when you switch, you can see there I switch over one lane and just make sure that I'm in this lane for the next set of obstacles, because they're deliberately not exactly in the same lanes, otherwise you just stick where you are. And you can see the next set of obstacles coming up, so I'm going to have to switch lanes again because they won't be all the same, and just switching over to the right there, getting in that lane and not getting caught that time. Now, you might suggest that this is easy steering because it's fairly obvious where those fences are and you know what's coming. But remember this, when you're in a race with a whole load of other riders, you might not be able to move into that lane, or you might be able to block other riders from getting into that lane. So there's a whole lot of tactical nous, not only in understanding exactly how the steering works, and particularly remember, as I said, that it is about lanes. So when you shift, you're shifting into sort of certain positions. There's only sort of kind of 8 or so lines across the road. It might not be 8, but that's my kind of rough recollection. But it's more about using them and getting into positions to make sure that you don't fall foul of the obstacles, and on some occasions making other people forcing them into the obstacles by blocking them from changing lanes. So there's lots and lots of tactics to play on here, which makes it altogether a more absorbing and interesting game. I say game, I mean it's still a fitness platform, but there's so much more engaging about this. You have to think a little bit more than just looking at data on a screen on the treadmill of other platforms. So that's lap 1 finished. We're going to go around a little bit more. We've literally only ever ridden this once. It was there was no trial run. We just went into this and started recording. So we're going to do another lap now, hopefully a bit faster, 40 kph, hitting that bend, and still getting round it on 37-38 quite comfortably. So you can do this quite fast, getting onto the inside lane here, 35 kph allowed around that bend, haven't crashed yet, getting very close to the red but not one crash yet, so probably getting those just perfect. Obviously learnt them all on the first lap, you'd like to think. Now I'm on the wrong lane there, so immediately shift one lane to the right just to get around all those logs and rocks. So I'm safely through this one. Remains to be seen if I can get through the next 3 fencing obstacles, but I know they're coming this time, and that's the difference. The first one I walked into rather naively, or rode into rather naively, of course. So this time when I get them right, another one of these bends, 34 kph, not touching the red, getting around quite comfortably again. And again 30, I probably could do that one a little bit faster. Switching over to the inside lane to get the shortest route again, well shy of the red, no danger of going off on this one. But here we have the obstacles, quickly shift to the right one lane and I'm through. Now if there was another rider blocking me there, I would have crashed because there was nowhere to go on the other side except for the side of the road. Moving into the inside now, you can see I shifted across one lane to avoid the next lot. I'm going to have the difficulty here now. I'm catching another rider. If I go in the same lane and this rider is going slower than me, then I've got a problem. That rider just shifted to the right, taking the lane I was going to take, so I shifted one more to the right, took that lane, which was a good choice because I just caught that rider towards the end. I would have had to have slowed up and got caught behind the rider had I not been in a free lane. So again, make sure you don't get trapped in some of those behind a slower rider if you are racing. Still going around these corners quite comfortably, not quite hitting the red. I could do them a little bit faster, but that gives you a rough idea of the sort of speed you can get around on these corners, which is fairly decent, and I think it makes for a fast race. So the tactics in this one are going to be all about how you treat the obstacles. Remember, 3 sets of fencing, and before that the little narrowing where the logs and rocks are. The corners all well over 30 kph, so nothing too tight to negotiate here. Catching up with another couple of bots on this test demonstration ride as we head up towards the end of the lap. It's again going past them quite comfortably, really. Doing this lap a bit faster, I would imagine, than the previous lap, and we get through the start finishing line comfortably on that straight. So that itself allows for a good sprint finish on the day if you are in a race. So that is that. We'll go over the bridge one more time, just see it from a slightly different angle from the front. Wonderful scenery on CADEsport, great obstacles, great racing. It really is the thinking person's platform, isn't it? See you in a race.